one, okay.
Have any of you ever heard of garlic mustard? It's a small little plant that grows around here, but it wasn't originally here. It was brought over, and it's considered an invasive species, which means it shades out other species and diminishes biodiversity. So if you want to remove invasive species, there's three main things you want to do. Plan out what you want to do, have a good plan in place, implement that plan, like on the ground, and then reassess your plan, figure out what didn't work and what did, and change it. This can be helpful anywhere, big, giant acres of land or small little plots around town. I learned this from doing habitat restoration and invasive species removal, and from studying in the Fisheries and Wildlife program. So the first thing you want to do is pick an area. My example is my tiny little front yard. Like I said, small little spots are good too. Then once you have an area you think you can work with, you want to map it out and divide it up into different units. I have plot 1 and plot 2, pretty simple. And start with an easy unit that you think you can get a victory with. Something that's not too overgrown, not too big for your budget or the time management that you have. After that, kind of start IDing the plants that are there. You can just use an app from your phone, to be honest. Those work really well, and you can figure out what's invasive and could probably go. Then it's time to implement your plan, actually get your hands dirty on the ground. In large areas, people have done prescribed burns. For example, a plant known as spotted knapweed, they found that if you burn that in the summertime, annually, like year after year, it takes it down. So don't burn it in the spring or fall. Sometimes if it's a large thicket, you can actually get goats to graze the land, which is kind of interesting. My brother's done that before with some success with really thick invasive species. You can do herbicide if you want, just weed killer or something like that. Or you can do good, that was supposed to be my picture for IDing plants. Or you can do good old-fashioned weeding. In my small little plot, that's gonna work perfectly. And you just pull them up, and for a small little plot like that, it's a good way to get rid of invasive species. But what you wanna do is keep the ground cover with something different so that the invasive species don't come back. I have a seed packet we got from a wedding and a few plants from a local nursery with good ground cover. There's like wild strawberry in there and stuff like that, which kind of holds the ground and keeps it from letting invasive species decrease biodiversity. So some of that's native, some of that's non-native, but none of it's invasive. Just be careful. There's a plant called autumn olive they thought would help really well with soil erosion, and lo and behold, it became one of the biggest invasive species. So their plan didn't work, and sometimes the best laid plans don't work, and you have to redevelop. What worked, what didn't, should you enlarge or shrink your area, depending on money, time, is it a different habitat than you thought? You might want to change your technique if they're really stubborn and you just wanted to weed them. Maybe you do have to use the herbicide or something stronger like that. And then maybe you have to plant something different. Maybe it's sunnier than you thought once you cut some stuff out, or it's drier or wetter, and the plants you tried to put down to hold the area from invasives isn't quite working. It can be a huge challenge to remove invasive species, especially in large areas, but it's helpful for biodiversity. The main thing is effectively planning, implementing that plan, reassessing it, going back to the drawing board. You can do it successfully. Perhaps one day, and this is me reassessing and some new things I thought I would do. Perhaps one day we will all have biodiverse forests, fields, and wetlands without invasive species decreasing that rich diversity. And that's all I got. Thanks.